Isn't this fitting that I'm interviewing you here because of our mutual passion for comedy?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember where we were and who we saw when we were here last time?
Yes, the first time we were here, we saw Bill Cosby.
Yeah, and where is here? Because no one could really see it.
Oh, we're in the Founders. We're in the Paramount Theater in the basement of the.
And we saw Bill Cosby.
Speakeasy, we saw Bill Cosby. That's right.
Before,
2 weeks before.
Which we don't need to mention. A lot's changed.
Yeah.
In our industry,
that's right.
You know, PFL now and Bill's in jail. Mr. Huxtable is a lot of things have changed in our industry.
Dr. Huxtable.
You know.
Yeah.
And we were with your wife and my father.
Your dad.
Yeah. How did you meet us, by the way? I always wanted to know that story.
So that I've thought about this because you were with another rep, and that other rep was leaving. That was as simple as that. And I met your dad because I think we had CE classes in the city that your father participated in, and that's where I met Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
See,
Evan
I wasn't
left.
there, so I don't know.
No. Right. So Evan left, and then that's it. I took over, and I think the first time I came in, I might have come in with Julie Crawford.
Yep. I remember that you two immediately hit it off, and I just thought it was funny because one of the things that we've always done has, I'd say, the connection has been the comedy. Because Dave would always tell you jokes.
Yeah.
It would always be the one-liners. You have a passion. I mean, your background is even a little bit outside in somewhat of the entertainment.
Yes.
You do. God, what do you do?
I've done theater. I've done singing.
Yeah.
You know, I've vocalized, done Sinatra acts and stuff like that. So yeah. So performing was always that's where I came from.
And that's
a lot of guys. It's interesting. A lot of guys in this industry tend to come from athletics.
Yeah.
You know, they're sports guys.
Yeah.
You're one of the other guys. Like, the only guys I know who came from comedy, which was always a passion of mine from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
Who are the other guys that we've seen since you said comedy? Because I know we saw Bill Cosby. Who else?
So we saw Bill Burr.
Bill Burr was great.
Yeah, and we saw Adam Sandler, right, with Judd Apatow.
That was probably the best.
Yeah.
That was like a highlight.
We walked into Carnegie Hall that night, and Mike Birbiglia was on stage, and he's hilarious.
He's very popular now. He has a show on Netflix too.
And then we saw Billy Connolly, right?
Yep.
Who's been better than he was when we saw him.
Sure, that's right. But you know what's fun, because I've always said, and I might have mentioned this in previous posts, is that I feel you could say sports because it gives you the drive.
Yeah.
But I happen to feel that where your background was and mine really enhances the enrollment meeting, which I think is half the battle.
Right.
You know, would you agree with that?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing I always liked about, so I came from a claims background, and then I would do finalist presentations and represent the clinical practices for Hartford and the claims practices and everything like that. And I always thought that it's easier to be compelling with a client directly than necessarily through producers who maybe have different objectives. When you're presenting your case to the client, it's very easy to be compelling. And if you can do that, exactly as you say, in an entertaining way with vitality and humor, I think you close a ton of business.
I've been on some meetings. In the very beginning, I remember, I wouldn't know exactly what to say. My father said to me once, he would throw me to the wolves. And I didn't exactly know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I would be on a meeting, and a guy would ask me questions about, ONOC definitions, and I'd say, well, what are you doing Friday? I'm performing stand-up at Governor's. And he'd say, get out of here. And I would divert myself, because I never like to not know.
Right.
And I always know, if you're doing this longer than me, even by a year, you should naturally know more than me. That's just how I feel. Yeah. Which is like a mutual respect in favor of the person who is more seasoned or an elder. And I'm not seeing that. I feel today there's a very big revolving door with reps, more so than ever before. If you want to even elaborate on what you're seeing, because you're agreeing.
Yeah, I've had conversations with, because I cover a pretty wide swath of territory, so I was talking to a broker in Buffalo, and he was, he had a serious frustration about these guys are walking in the door, and I'm teaching them, and they don't know, and they have to interrupt every conversation with, let me just jot that down so that I can ask, and and they're good and they're well-meaning, but they don't have the 20 years of experience in the industry that
The turnover was so high when I first got into the business. It's gotten even worse. So I've been doing this about 15 and a half years. We used to play this game with the rep based on Kevin Bacon, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, because everywhere he would go, he was connected to someone at a different insurance company. But the bottom line is he was at so many different carriers, it became a joke.
Yeah.
That my father would literally be in the back and he would say, who's that again? All the way in the back office, like our old railroad apartment setting. And he'd go, who is that out there? I'm like, so-and-so from Garden. He goes, whatever.
Yeah.
because he lost that the homage to, well, if that person's gone, what do I need them for?
Right.
And I feel like that revolving door hurts you. And I always say to people, a part of, I think, my success is my staff has been there a long time.
Right.
There's a long tenure. The shortest person, although we've done a lot of changes in the last 3 years, is 3 years, because I started to grow the business. But besides that, it's 10, 20, 30, 34. And people have this common denominator of comfort when they know you're not going anywhere, versus that whole here today, gone tomorrow. And then I think the switch to that is you might work at Hartford today and your competitor's Guardian, but then if you end up a Guardian, how does that kind of look when another guy goes, really, you were just bashing the competition last week? It leaves sort of a salty taste in someone's mouth that's a general agent looking at the rep.
To switch gears like that always seemed kind of disingenuous. Like, you do it, it's the reality of things, right? If it doesn't work out one place, you go try another. The sales guys are like cats, right? So the skill is going to land you someplace. But it would be odd for me to be at a different carrier tomorrow singing this is the greatest carrier in the world, when 48 hours ago I was saying that was the greatest
But that's what
carrier.
I always felt that to be strange.
Right.
But see, that's what I respect about you and my staff even, is because you've been there for so long. I mean, man, so have you been at the Hartford since the Hartford had the Whalers as an NHL team?
Yeah, I don't think the stack.
Were they the Whalers?
It was a doe. It wasn't even a stack. It was like Bambi when I started there, the logo for this thing. No, I was thinking about your guys, and the nice part about it, I think what your father started, but I think what you've done is that, over the time that I've worked with you guys, and I came down here to work in sales in 2010, so it's it's been a long time.
It has.
These guys are family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've had conversations with them off hours.
Yeah.
I walked in the door and met Annette Sparandio, and I'm like, that's okay. There's my daughter in 20 years. Like, she's just like her. And you ever had that experience where you meet somebody and you're immediately comfortable with them because they remind you of somebody else? That's the way it was with Annette. Lisa reminded me of an aunt of mine, a younger aunt. Your dad, it would be 5 minutes of him with a number 2 pencil doing Euclidean, mathematics, and then 25 minutes of just the most raucous jokes, you could tell. And I think our relationship, and then forget it, then yours and mine, then starting with, discussions in comedy and riffing with one another, and then the Friars Club.
But it makes it easy. Because it's such a seamless relationship, I don't ever feel like there's that strong competition to do well, because we know we will succeed anyway.
Yeah.
The last time that you and I were here was actually with my father, David Cohen, the founder of the DBL Center, who you said you met. Is there anything that you remember or want to add about that?
No, what I remember when I reflect on Dave is just, for me, his passing was and continues to be just a great shock. He's a guy that I miss regularly in the way that I miss my parents. Obviously, as you get older, you lose people. It's part of life. He represents somebody whose loss hurt when it happened. And I just continue to feel his loss, because there were conversations that Dave and I had that I don't know whether you were even a part of, where he would make, suggestions. I would ask him career advice. I would ask him to, for mentoring.
Sure.
And I remember very clearly I get goosebumps thinking about it. He looked at me and he said, I want you to think about this, because he said, you're better than what you're doing.
Wow.
And I mean, I just...
And you remember that,
I
yeah.
absolutely remember him saying those words to me. You're better than what you're doing.
And that's great, but that's why you're here. That's why you're here. And we love working with you. We love the Hartford. And I'm glad you came all the way down from Syracuse.
Yeah,
we
man.
love you. We consider you family too, man.
Oh,
so I'm glad
great.
you came, man.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, brother.
You too, bro.
Thanks, man.
Okay. All right.